we went down there to the beach to take these photos, and about 2 seconds later, the park ranger says, "Ain't happening." Hey everyone, this is Chuck Jackson, WWE and wrestling photographer. You guys are watching Chronicles of Podcast with Tom and Jamie.
Hello world, Wednesday 13 here.
Hey, this is Tom Stay.
Hello everybody, I'm Ronnie LeDrew.
Yes, my friends, my name's John Mahon.
What's going on, everybody? It's Tom.
And it's Jamie. Welcome to the Chronicles of Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, nays and M's, this week we bring you a very special guest, unlike anyone we've had on the show before. This week we're diving into the world of photography. Our guest this week doesn't just take photos, he captures souls in a totally legal and artistic way. Of course, he shot celebrities, wrestlers, fitness icons, and more. Put your hands together for Mr. Chuckacious himself as we bring you the Chronicles of Chuck Jackson.
Oh, you guys are too sweet. Sweet. What an intro and introduction. I love that. That was great.
Well, thank you.
He works hard, bless him. He works hard.
That's the best intro I've ever had. I'm going to keep that.
Chuck, before we dive in and get into the real juicy and cruxy part of all this, how's your Thursday been?
Man, it's been good. It's like every day. It's been productive. Emails, editing, nothing too crazy. I kind of set everything aside for you guys. So I've been building to this podcast.
Bless your heart.
That's what everyone. Leave me alone. I got an important podcast to do. Cancel it, reschedule.
Hold all my calls. Hold all my calls.
My calls. Yeah, the phone is down. It's turned off. You guys have all my attention.
Oh,
yeah,
we
love it.
So how we like to start these things is take them right back to the youth, childhood, young Master Jackson, you could say. What did you want to be when you were growing up? Has it always been artistic for you, or was it something completely different, like train driver? I don't know.
I always tell people I'm one of the lucky ones that I knew what I wanted to do. I believe it was like from the age of 4. Like it was art on some level, and it's kind of graduated into like a certain type of medium as I got older. But dude, when I was younger, I was in the prime, like Power Rangers, Spider-Man animated series, X-Men, Batman anime series. So like that stuff was the coolest thing for me. So I started drawing, and it just, that became my thing. I was going to become a comic book artist, and I was going to, do this and work on movies. And that grew into, stuff we'll talk about later. But initially it was like, that's all I wanted. I've always thought animation and art and eventually like movies were like the coolest thing in the world. And I was like, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. And that's kind of been like my life devotion, is just like going in that direction and seeing what works for me and what doors open. But yeah, that was the start of it all. I've always wanted to be an artist since I was a kid. And I'm lucky. I know people don't, they never figure it out, or, they find out, they figure out what they want to do later. But that's what I've always wanted to do.
When you were at school and stuff, though, was that like the direction you always tried to take it in? Or I don't know, was it just while you were at school, you just had to do the subjects because you just have to do them?
No. It's in America, it's one of those things where the school is very general, but you get to have like these electives, like these classes that you get to pick, and it's like only like one per year. And I always did art, like that was mine. So anytime I had the opportunity to do it, I did it. And when I wasn't in school, I was drawing. Like I have books and books and books of drawing. So that's it. Yeah, that was like a choice I made, that it's like, whenever I get an opportunity to do art, I'm going to do it. If the school doesn't have a class for it, I'll do it at home. So yeah, it wasn't like, school that kind of pushed me into it. I did it myself. And, from there, I just took whatever class I could get.
What were your parents like with art? Because obviously art's a funny thing, isn't it? Some people are like, follow your creative direction, and other ones are like, he does that in his pastime, go be a lawyer. And
it's like, mine's a weird dynamic. Parents love me, but they're the kind of like just don't be a bum. Like,
Yeah.
whatever you do, make sure your bills are paid. If you're happy with it, cool. Just like don't be in the streets, don't be homeless, don't. And that's kind of how it's always been. It's like my mom, she's like a hard worker, she's like, just kind of work hard and be a good person. Cool. Whatever you do, cool. She's not really big into the arts, there's as long as her son's doing well, I guess. And then my dad, he was in the Navy and he did photography for a while. So he kind of appreciates it a little bit more because he kind of did it a little bit. Not the art, drawing like when I was younger. It was kind of like, oh, that's cool, you're doing great. But when I got into photography, that's when we kind of connected a little bit more. And he's kind of like what got me started into it. But initially, yeah, it was like, yeah, I didn't have to deal with, your parents being like, oh, have you thought about trying, like you said, a lawyer, a doctor, whatever. It was kind of like, yeah, you're not too bad. Maybe you can make something out of it. And I don't know, maybe I'm just like a weird guy where I'm always kind of like, I'm going to prove people wrong. And maybe I felt like I had to prove my parents wrong. I don't know, or prove them right. I don't know. I'm not going to be that. I'm not Papa Roach. I'm not one of those angsty, emo goth kids. Like Broken Home wasn't about me, but I always tell people it was. And, I relate to it on an emotional level, I guess. I don't know. I came from a good home, but whatever. Typical, like, teenage art kid, I guess. I got to find a problem somewhere.
I love that. So obviously he's mentioned your dad was a photographer. How did that come into line with yourself then?
So I, as a elementary school, or I don't know what you guys, it's, before I was like 12 years old, it was just drawing. And then kind of like the development of, I guess based on my age, I kind of caught the wave of like the internet kind of becoming a thing. And then graphic design kind of exploded. And I was like, I kind of like this. It's kind of like I'm doing digital art. And then, I started, as I got older, I saw like marketing and branding and commercials and stuff in magazines. And I was like, that looks really cool. Like, it's not just a drawing or a photo. It's the wording and it's the format and composition. And I got into that in like middle school, graphic design. And that went really well for me. And as I got into high school, I was big into journalism. They brought me on. They asked me if I would join that as the graphic designer, the head of that. And as I started that, man, there was photographers in that group. And I was like, maybe I should give this a shot. Graphic design was cool, but the photographers were able to go out, and I started seeing these, kids, do photo shoots. And I was like, I could do that. Same thing. I was like, it just all kind of grows on top of each other. It's like, what's the next format and medium that I could jump into? There was a chick in that class that I did not get along with that was a photographer that I didn't think should have been a photographer, but I was stuck at graphic design. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to get into graphic design to get her out of here. Not literally. I wasn't going to kick her out of the class, but I was like, everybody was loving her photos. It was the typical, like a black rose on like the ground, typical early 2000s emo cover. And everybody thought it was the greatest thing in the world. And that rubbed me the wrong way. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to get into photography because I might be able to do something better. And that's how I don't know. That's how it all started. I journalism got me into photography, and then I started doing photo shoots with, classmates and senior photos, and it just went from there.
Was there like a certain photo that you took that made you go, do you know what? I think I've got something here.
Yeah, it like I don't know why that's like a thing I've thought about myself, and I've never been able to answer it. The direction of photography I went in. Some people are like, I love landscapes and I just want to shoot landscapes. I want to shoot animals. For some reason, I gravitated towards like portrait photography. I don't know if it's like like what we're doing here, the conversation with people and having that relationship and networking and discussing things, and you're kind of capturing moments. It was kind of like I want to go take some test shots with some of my friends, and there's not one photo. I would have to go back, but it was kind of like I like this. I like the final product. I like being able to pass it along to the model or the client, and they love it, and it makes them look good and they feel good, and it if it needed to be on a magazine and the companies like it, there was a lot of gratification for that. On a human level, it might be all of that, and that's what kind of worked for me. It wasn't just I took a picture of like a sunset and it kind of just sits in a doctor's office and people just walk by and they're like, oh, that's cool. It's something about, this is me, as a model, and I'm showing the world, I feel good, I look good. It could be inspirational, it could be, a little bit more transparent. There's something about it, but yeah, it was some of those test shoots that I did initially with some of my classmates where I was like, this kind of looks cool. Like, this looks like if I did it a certain way, it could be like something in the magazine that I fell in love with. There was, I always kind of pulled from magazines at the time that magazines were like the way to see things. And I, followed, like, I'm a big Christian Bale fan, Batman fan. I have a Batman thing over there. And I would see like photos, promo photos. I was like, dude, he looks so cool. Like there's shadows behind him. There's a Batman silhouette. Brad Pitt was really big and he's doing stuff for, Troy, and he has this cool, like, photo shoot. And I was like, I really like that. And it kind of just grew from there that I wanted to start replicating those things and having models and setting people, up to pose certain ways and get those reactions. That's what really kind of like, yeah, let's go forward with this.
That's amazing. Can you remember the first, like, your first proper camera, like, I'm going to go out in the world and do this?
Yeah, man. Do you remember when you didn't have bills and you're just like living with your parents and life was good?
The good old days.
Yeah, the good old days. Man, I remember my first job, real job, I was a photo editor at a photo studio, and I took 2 full paychecks or a full paycheck, I don't remember. And I bought like my first like official camera. My dad kind of passed me along some like Sony digital ones. But those were like point and shoots. Like my first real camera that I could take. It was a Nikon D70. That was the camera that I could afford. That it was awesome. My dad had Nikon growing up, so I had some pass some like lenses that were kind of passed down to me. So I was like, I'll go with, and me being a contrarian, I didn't go Canon because the journalism class used Canon, and I wanted to be different. I was punk rock, and I wanted a Nikon. I was different, man. I didn't want to be like you guys. I'm not a sheep. I don't need to go Canon. So I went Nikon, and that's where that I was a D70. I loved it. I shot with Nikon for forever. Yeah, they're great.
That's all. How often do you need to upgrade these sort of things?
One thing about cameras, man, is they hold up for a while. A lot of people professionals talk about, you can't buy a bad camera now. Like we're at the point now where you could buy a 10-year-old used Sony, Canon, Nikon. It's going to take amazing photos. You can't go wrong nowadays. And that's one thing, like growing up, I was like, dude, lenses are $1,200, $800. Camera bodies are $2,000, $3,000. But if you do it professionally, you can use that camera for 5-10 years. Like they last forever. The photos are always like 2010, 2008. That's kind of like when you take a photo and it looked crystal clear. And you can't go any more crystal clear than crystal clear. If it's razor sharp, it's razor sharp. And there's little tweaks that, photography nerds can, get into, but they last forever, man. I have cameras that are 10 years old that if I took a photo, nobody would know the difference. So that's why I tell people if they're getting into photography, you do not have to buy like a brand new 2, 3, 4,000. You go get a used one. It's going to be great. Buy some lenses, and do that. You don't need it to get all that new. They last forever.
I ask that because not being someone that knows anything about photography other than point and click, like you see some photographers that got like this thing here with a giant lens and they got another one around their neck and then they're pulling their phone out to do other bits. I'm like, don't they all do the same thing? I don't know.
Me and you're in the same boat, man. I'm not a photography snob. If you can get a camera that does everything, go for it. If you wanted to be like, oh, I got a camera for this, and I got a camera for that, and I got it, and whatever, as long as the photos are good, like that was one of my things. I would like will photos to be good. If I need to sharpen them or do this thing, I'll make them work. And but there is cases. I don't want to rag on like wedding photographers, but they're the ones that have like 15 cameras, and I'm like, I get it, but that's not my thing. I have like my one main camera for photo shoots. I have a backup one because if I go to photo shoot and it dies on me and I have like, a WWE wrestler in front of me and I can't do anything about it, I'm gonna look like such an idiot. And I'm gonna ruin my reputation with them. So I always have a backup one that I'll use like secondary, and then I do some video work. So I have kind of my cameras, and but if you're a pro sports photographer, yeah, you need those giant lenses and whatever. But sometimes it's overkill. Some people are a little overkill with some of their stuff. They get too wrapped up in the equipment. It's like, I don't know. Do you guys play music at all?
Used to years ago, but not anymore.
But it's the same thing. If you start off and you have, I've never played guitar before, but I'm gonna buy like a $2,000, Fender, Gibson. Someone who's talented could go get a used one from the store for a few $100 and just shred.
Yeah.
It's the same concept. If you buy, a $4,000 camera and you don't really know how to take photos, there's a lot of people I've seen that their photos look like it's off a cell phone. They're very flat. There's not a lot of depth, and but it's a $4,000 setup, but it looks like a cell phone. And that's kind of going back. You can go cheaper, find what works for you, find the right lenses, find what setup works for you. If you're doing portrait and you need to have it like really like cinematic, get that kind of equipment. If you're doing commercial work and it just needs to be really flat and sharp and just it needs to be tight just for like a website or business cards, then go that route. But sometimes I feel like people get a little too wrapped up in the equipment. I've met people that kind of give me a rundown of all their stuff, and it's just like, come on, like, yeah, it's not needed, man. It's not needed.
Yeah.
If it makes you happy, whatever. If it makes you happy, whatever. No, it's not.
I feel that wedding photographers, though, I suppose they probably panic and think this is their special day. I want to make sure that nothing dies and I have everything with me. I'll take the lot.
Yes, I get. Yeah, and I get it. I don't want to refund Bridezilla. Like if you miss one shot out of an 8-hour day with 10,000 photos, if you miss one shot, they want a refund for the whole thing. That's why I don't do wedding stuff, because I don't want to deal with it. But I also don't have the personality to do wedding stuff. I'm a little tough on my shoots, and then I'm very like not a drill sergeant. I'm not like rude, but like it's let's this is not looking good. Cut. Like if it's not looking good, we're gonna scrap it. If you're not looking good and your hair's messy, we're gonna scrap it and go to the next one. With wedding photographers, they're like, oh my God, you're so beautiful. Oh my God, I'm so happy to be here on this special day with these two souls. And I made this very public before. So this isn't like, I'm throwing I'm just not that kind of, soft-handed when it comes to the wedding stuff. It's you kind of get the gist of my personality. It works better for kind of more commercial editorial stuff where it's like, we're here to do business. We're here to make it happen. Let's get down and dirty. Let's kill it.
I love that. I suppose also WWE love it so much because you just like straight to the point, no fucking around. Let's just do it. Let's get on with it.
That's probably why I've been able to relatively be, at the point, successful at what I do in that industry, because we all share the same motivation and direction when it comes to that. They've kind of actually, I've been like that before, where if things aren't working and I'm like, let's kind of, but once I started working with the WWE and wrestlers in general, they're the ones that they're like, I don't want to waste my time. And it's probably part because of how they have to do their job in the ring. If things aren't working, scrap it. We're going to switch the spot. We're going to, call it early. Something's not working. We'll call it. So they do bring that into their photo shoots, and it's kind of influenced me on how I do things. Like I just did I also do some producing. I do a podcast with two wrestlers, and we did it remotely. And they brought this giant step and repeat backdrop for their interviews. They paid extra to get it flown there, rushed, all this money. We set it up, and it looks like trash. It looks like a bunch of trash bags. It's shiny vinyl, and you saw the creases on the lighting. All you saw was squares of creases. They spent all this money to get it there, and it didn't look good. And I was like, we're going to scrap it. Like, scrap it. Sorry you spent all that money. And they agree. They appreciate it. They're like, it looks like junk. It's going to make us look worse. It's going to make us look cheap. Toss it. Dump it. So that's kind of where they're at. Like, if it needs to be done, we have a certain amount of time. Let's go for it. Let's not kind of goof off. If it doesn't look good, let me know, because it has to look good when it goes live. And that's where, a lot of this kind of like how I go about my shoots. That's where it really comes through, is from, being around them.
That's amazing. I mean, do you have like any sort of like signature techniques, as it were, or do you just do whatever feels natural to you?
Before, I used to shoot, what was like my calling card was, I was really good with natural lighting. In Florida, it's the Sunshine State, so we have really nice sunsets. So I would do a lot with natural lighting. One of my signature looks before was having the light leak come through, like from behind someone. You would have like this nice, glow. They're backlit. It was really very 35 millimeter looking, which worked well. It was like a signature look of mine, because a lot of people would use like big flashes, and it looked, it was safe. It was like nice and sharp, and mine had like a little bit of grit, a little bit of film, 35 millimeter look to it, which people really liked. But that kind of ran its course the further I got with the industry, to where now it became that artsy stuff can't be put on a magazine cover. Like it's too artsy. It might be good as like a secondary shot, but it can't be the main shot. It can't be the album cover. It can't be the magazine cover. So I had to fail, because I submitted some photos for a magazine once, and they're like, we can't use them. Like, we love them, but we can't use them. They're too artsy. They won't work. Like, look at our front covers. They look like magazine covers. So that kind of recalibrated what I needed to do to move forward and be successful. And now it's, in a simplified sense, it's still using natural light, but we're doing it in a more professional, like what you would see on like a fitness or a magazine cover. It's soft, natural light, but instead of it coming from, behind with like a light glow, now it's going to be more on them. And it has that more magazine cover. If you look at like my Instagram, it's kind of like, you get it.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier you've worked with some of like the biggest names in wrestling, Chelsea Green, Tiffany Stratton, all these different names. How did you get your name out there to work with these people in the first place?
So for the longest time, I was just kind of just doing freelance work with certain model agencies, local bands, and things were fine, but it was kind of stagnant. And it hit me one day. I was just thinking, I might have saw like a YouTube video or a movie, and it's about how in America, like if you want to work with actors and be in movies, you move to LA, you move to Hollywood. And where I'm at, I'm right outside Orlando, but in Orlando, that is the hub where all the wrestlers live.
Yeah.
And it just clicked to me. I was like, I'm a lifelong wrestling fan. I'm a photographer. All the wrestlers are here. Why not, work with them? Like, it's right there. It would be the same as a new director trying to, create a movie and they need actors. Well, go to LA and pull some. So it was the same concept. And just through, networking, portfolio submissions, my first shoot was with Chelsea Green, and it kind of went from there. I showed her my stuff, and I was like, hey, love your work. I'm right down the road. I usually shoot modeling, but, big fan of your work, big wrestling fan. And after that, it kind of went from there. Someone saw something and saw something and saw something, and just grew and grew and grew. And it's just, everyone's down here, it's social media, networking, all that kind of one thing leads to another. And it's just, I'm in the hub of where everyone's at. And I do a craft, a skill or whatever that people enjoy. And it kind of went from there. It's just being around everybody.
I suppose social media helps things like that, because they're uploading the photo, and then on Instagram, especially, they'll put the little emoticon of a photo of a camera, and then put your at, and then I guess people are like, "Hey, I want some photos like that. Who's this guy?"
Honestly, that's how it is. Like, there's no, I don't have an agency. I don't, I don't have a manager, an agent, whatever. Everything is kind of ran through me, and all, myself controlled marketing and networking and hustle. And yeah, it's just from that. It's I'll do a photo shoot with like Chelsea initially, and her friends see it, and Chelsea would be like, I want to do another shoot. Can I bring my friends along? They loved the last set of photos. Do you mind? They tag me, collaborate with me, boom, that goes into their audience. And then their group of friends that are wrestlers see that, and then boom, it's one of those things that kind of 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. It just kind of multiplies that way. And someone big sees it, and then it's the typical climbing the ladder of networking and that kind of industry stuff.
Reminds me of Wayne's World. They tell two friends, then they tell two friends, then they tell two friends.
I wish I had like a cooler like story where, oh yeah, it's like this agency and the managers are booking this and booking that, and I bumped into them at a coffee shop, whatever. But it was through photo shoots and photo shoots and photo shoots of tagging collaborations, somebody needing something that fits my style, but they're a wrestler, and it kind of it's just a lot of networking, photo shoots, and just slow growth.
Yeah. Obviously, you work with that many people. We can't exactly go asking deep dives on loads of different people, but there is one person we do need to mention, and that's Natalya. Because obviously, recently you've done the stuff for her book, and you've worked with her loads. How did that relationship begin with Natalya?
So, that, yes, like me and her become really, really good friends, but that it kind of just came from I shot with a couple of girls, and they same thing. They posted up some photos. She saw them. She's like, who took those photos? Chuckacious. And she's like, I'm gonna have to hit him up. And I think I actually hit her up. It was one of those at the same time. I knew she was friends with somebody that I just shot with, and I was like, oh, let me, hit her up. And I think she like was going to send me a message, and they're like, let's do it. Like, I saw your photos with the girls. Your work's great. Let's do a shoot and see how it goes. And the rest is history. We get each other on an artistic level. We get each other on a wrestling level, a creative level, marketing level. So we've kind of just like grown into our little, team. Her training area is called the Dungeon, and it's like her dungeon family, and it's really tight, and we're all really close, and we all lean on each other, and we do a lot of projects, and we get each other. I get what she wants to do when it comes to photography or video wise, but also when it comes to the branding of her character and the direction she wants to go in. And I've helped her out with a ton of vignettes and scripts and promo videos for her matches, and looks and this and that. So that's been one cool thing, is being able to do more than just photography with that. That is more of the producing and kind of consulting and all that stuff. So that's been a blast. And we always have a million things going on, but with that, that kind of just became like, you like this, you like this, did we just become best friends? And that's how it kind of was. It just took off. It was one of those things where the two mindsets just match, and it just took off. And anytime we have to do something cool or creative, we're always on the same page. We'll text each other memes about wrestling stuff, and we both get the business and the art and the branding and creative, and that's kind of why everything clicks so well with us.
Do you still get those moments of like, pinch yourself, holy crap, like, how am I getting to do this sort of work?
Yeah, if you've seen my like semi drunk in the middle of the night text that I sent after like a big event, I still get those moments. I'll text my close people around me, and it's just like, this is ridiculous. Like, this isn't, not saying this isn't, it shouldn't be happening, but those dreams of that little kid are happening. And I'm at SummerSlam a couple months ago, and I'm talking to Jelly Roll, or I'm talking to John Cena last week, and it's not just like in passing by, like it's full conversations. And sometimes some of these wrestlers are asking for my opinion on things, and those are the moments where I'll walk away, and it's like, it's not just like, oh, I'm a fan that kind of came through. I'm working with these people. And that's when there is those moments where it's like, it's pinching, because it's like, it's happening. The hard work, the dreams, the planning, it's happening. It's a reality now. And those are the moments where I have to kind of, I'm usually very kind of chill. I'm a very chill guy, but there is those late nights where I'm like, I'll get back to the hotel, and it's like, this is crazy. This is happening, and I didn't think it was, but it really is. And I love wrestling, so being in that industry and having an influence and working side by side with them, that's what really gets me. It's not just they book a shoot, thank you, they leave, I never talk from them again. I'm working with these people, I'm friends with these people, and it's a really big, it's the biggest part of my life. It's the best thing.
It's amazing, because obviously it shows that you still really care about it. It's not like it's just another day at the office. Do you know what I mean? It shows that you really want it to go well. You want it to be great. Show them off as much as it shows you off. Because I was having a little flick through your Instagram. I'm not a photographer in any way, shape, or form. So if these words are wrong, I'm so sorry. I've tried, Chuck. All right, I've tried.
Yeah, I can tell. I believe in you.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate that. But what I absolutely love about some of the photos that I've seen from you is that the composition is like, you use everything. It's not just about the subject, it's about everything around as well. So there's some pictures of Natalya that you took. I think there's a picnic table and a picket fence. And like, you're utilizing, like you say, about the natural light, and then you've got obviously all the greenery around, that sort of thing. I was just like, it's stunning, not just because she's there, but because of everything surrounding her as well.
Funny story about that shoot. That was supposed to be a swimsuit. That's like an area, like a private beach park area that has beach access. We went down there to the beach to take these photos, and about 2 seconds later, the park ranger says, "Ain't happening. You guys can't take those photos here." I had like a big like soft box or a diffuser and everything. He's like, "You guys can't do that. If you're doing professional photos, you can't do that." So we scrapped it, and we went over to that park bench.
Yeah.
And we knew we couldn't do the photography equipment. He made that very clear. He's like, if you bring photography equipment out here, I'll officially kick you guys out. Whoa. So I was like, let's go to that. Let's kind of get away from this. Let's go over here. And she's like, let's do it over by that park bench. It's wide open. It looks like an open field kind of. And I'll pose, and we'll just use the natural light. And that's where I was talking about, where I kind of mold like the photos to work. Like we weren't able to use our lighting. It was a little windy, so I had to kind of turn her towards the wind so it blew her hair. And I was like, we have to make this photo work. Like we can't use our equipment. We can't go back to the beach. We can't do this. So let's make that happen with the natural light. And that's where I kind of brought in those old school elements of, having that light come through and kind of, create this whole sunset vibe with the wind, with her hair and dress. And I kind of, punched up the exposure on her face. And that's how we got those photos. Like that wasn't supposed to happen. That's where you kind of will it into existence.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's how it is. A lot of these shoots, man. It's the way wedding photographers get stressed out about not capturing the right moment. That one thing that does stress me out is there'll be times where I'll be like, hey, we're gonna go meet up at this location, this beach. I have kind of like my beaches that I rely on. And there's been times I pull up and they're completely closed. They're because of hurricanes. And so it's like, what do we do now? Like you just drove an hour and a half here or an hour, whatever. And what do we do now? Stuff like that. Like, let's go to the backside where there's palm trees. There's no real beach, but we'll make it work. And we got to make it happen. We'll use the natural light. We'll try this. We'll try that. We'll do whatever. It just needs to look good. And it's one of those things you got to get the job done. And that's one of those elements, man.
It kind of blends into my next question. So I was going to say, like, when it comes to the themes of these shoots, is this you coming up with ideas? Is the model coming up with ideas? Like, is Chelsea Green walking in and go, make me a devil? Or is this something you've come up with, for example?
There is groups of people where they trust me, where they'll be like, let's go to the beach. I'll bring some stuff. You tell me which ones look good. And then there's other people that are really creative, like Chelsea Green. She'll bring everything. She'll bring a devil outfit. She'll bring Daisy Dukes and be, Miss Patriotic and, a Southern Belle or whatever. And then the other one would be like a lot more. We're working on some sort of magazine feature with some of her photos, but it's a lot more kind of luxurious, kind of high end look. So it's a blend. There's a lot of times I work with these models and, they'll ask for my opinions. They're like, does this look right? Is this going to look good? Sometimes I have to tell them, I was like, it just doesn't work for you. And I feel the same way. I'm sure I dress certain ways where I think I look great. And then I go out and it's like, dude, you look like a bum. And there's times I have to tell some of the models, I'm like, the super sequence gold teal bikini looks dated. Like it doesn't look right. So that's where I kind of come in and I kind of try to shoot them, straight. I'm like, this instead of that, go with this. It's going to look so much better. They go with it. The photos are great. So it's a very like well-rounded collaboration with the models. Some of the girls, take it on their own and they know exactly. And I kind of just let them do whatever they know what they're doing. Other people kind of need help. And then there's other ones that it's kind of like a very even collab.
Has anyone ever come up with an idea with you and you're just like, what?
Man, there's been a bunch of them, man. Those photos don't see the light of day. Those are the ones where I was like, this isn't working. Like this. And they're like, I appreciate it. They're usually very like, I brought it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, scrap it. We'll just take a few photos and we'll scrap it. Usually, they're professionals. There's a reason they're here. They kind of have the optics and perspective of what does work for them. But there is some stuff where I'm just like, it's not working. If I'm being completely honest, as a wrestling fan and the photographer, I kind of have an eye of like what people want and what does well. Because I do talk analytics with a lot of the girls where I'm like, those photos didn't do as well as these photos. Like, why? Is it sex appeal? Is it because this was a little bit too dark and grungy compared to the light and fluffy beach shoot with like the Natalya with the sun? Like those photos, like they weren't like sexy as in like she was showing a ton of skin, but the way it was like warm and glowing, those photos killed. Those photos did amazing. And they did better than some of the more sexier stuff. So we do talk about numbers of what's working, what's not. And I try to steer them in what works because they're trying to grow their career. I'm trying to do well and kind of represent myself well. And I do try to navigate things that way. And if it's just a bad idea, there's been times they brought up like outfits, and I was like, I don't want to do it. There's sometimes I'm like, in my soul, I was like, I do not want to do this outfit, this look. Because I look at it and I was like, I don't like this look, and it's not going to do well. So I was like, if we can just skip it and not do it, I'll be a happier person.
Do you know how much money I spent on this, Chuck?
I'm like, Amazon, baby, free returns.
Keep your receipts, fine.
Keep your receipts. Let's send it back. Like, it's not working. And it is what it is. I don't want them to look bad. I don't want to look bad. I don't want to. If my heart's not in it, I'm not going to mail it in. But there is times I'm sure the models notice that like a certain outfit or certain look just works. And I'm like, let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. These look great. Because those are the photos I know when I upload them, those are the ones I want to work on. Those are the ones that are going to do well. If it's kind of like this, whatever outfit that is like, whatever, I was like, it's going to bomb. Like it's going to be a waste of time. So I try to kind of steer them away from those things.
So we've talked about your photography a lot, but you mentioned this at the start, how you got into art in the first place because you enjoyed drawing and painting and stuff like that. And I can see behind you got the Batman mask. I believe that's Robin Williams behind you there as well.
Yes, that's Robin Williams. Yeah.
And I saw the White Ranger one that you uploaded to Instagram, which is just my favorite Power Ranger. So look,
Tommy, R.I.P. Tommy,
R.I.P. Tommy. Where do you find your inspirations with painting?
With painting, as you can tell, it's like it's like portrait. There's something about portraits that's I'll see like certain front covers, like the minimalistic like comic book covers, where it's just kind of like a cowl that's just like empty or broken or whatever, and I was like, that's just so strong. And I kind of went in that direction, and I like the dramatic lighting. All the ones that I've done have like kind of like an overhead light. It's very like dark and shadowy, and that's kind of like where my influence for painting came from. I loved kind of that, like if it was a person like Robin Williams or one of the animals where it's like staring straight into the camera, it has that kind of relationship with the viewer, and that's what I really enjoyed, was kind of replicating that, and kind of on a technical level kind of replicating a photo. Because I've seen other artists that are like photo realism where it is like identical. It's like, I can't tell it's paint. And I've always kind of strived for that, but I always wanted to leave a little bit behind to where it looks like a painting. It has that kind of artistic flair a little bit. And that's kind of what I enjoyed. I enjoyed that. It worked. I kind of had a flow, and it just kind of people loved it. Like it's one of those things. If people enjoy it, and you're kind of throwing stuff out there, you kind of go in that direction. This is what people are enjoying. Like musicians, if you're trying to, make music for your fans, you kind of, get into a groove, and that's what I did. And, but yeah, the kind of the source of inspiration was seeing those kind of, there's a shot of, it's a lot of Batman stuff. I was going to try to be cool, but it's all Batman related. Like I was going to say, like the Dark Knight Returns, the movie, they had a poster where Batman's cowl was crushed on the ground, and it was just like kind of like a white background, black cowl crushed, very like in the center, overhead light, and stuff like that. Always was just like, that's cool. It's very powerful. It's simple. It's not, I do love like super, like that's one thing as a fan, I love seeing these like really intricate paintings. I'm not great at that, so I'm not going to like waste my time doing that. And so that's my thing. I like the more like kind of minimalistic, really tight stuff.
The Tim Howard painting that you did years ago. Oh my God. Unreal.
That was wild. That's back when I was doing a lot more. There was a digital artist called Sam Pratt. He does crazy that I guess that was one of the inspirations, but his was kind of like where it was like spots of color, like it's like a standard like painting, it's painting, but if you look at it, there's like greens and reds and blues, but it looks cool. And he started getting into doing some stuff like that, which inspired me to do some digital illustrations during the World Cup, which was 2014.
Yeah.
I think it was the 2014 World Cup, or 2010. I don't know. But yeah, I was doing that. I did like one of Messi. The Tim Howard one did real well. And yeah, like I love doing digital, and then it kind of grew into like painting, and that worked out, and I kind of left it. But yeah, those are like those little period of me doing those digital illustrations was a good time.
Do you still paint much now?
No, it was about once the wrestling stuff took off, like that is when it was like I felt like I was spreading myself too thin. I was doing my graphic design stuff, social media, photography, video, painting, and I had to make a decision where it was, do I keep on painting and take up all the space and supplies and kind of pushing myself and spending hours and days and weeks painting, or do I go in direction of the WWE wrestling photography stuff? And the wrestling one, it was you follow the the trend, not the trends, but the trends like analytics wise of doing this photo shoots getting me 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 views, and the painting's getting me like 500. It's for like the hardcores, people that like art. And it's it is what it is. It's pretty girls, wrestling, fashion, swimsuit, like it blew up compared to very dark and minimalistic paintings. That was more kind of like a niche thing. And eventually when the wrestling stuff took off, that I just had to switch. And I don't think I could do these paintings again. That's another thing about me, is that I was kind of like in a groove. I was painting every day, and I'm concerned that I don't think I could do those paintings again. It was kind of like they had their oh my bad. They had their moment, and it's like an ex-girlfriend or something. I don't know. I don't think it would work out as well as it did before. Yeah. And I kind of just leave in the past now.
What I'm hearing from this is you need to combine the two and take pictures of wrestlers in Batman masks.
Bro. That'd be for me. That'd be like for then I'd be the creep photographer. Like I think he has like a little Batman fetish. Yeah. And then I'm gonna be the weird photographer that gets kicked out. That's one thing about me. I'm like all the like so many weirdo photographers, and they usually kind of smell them out and get them out of there. Once I bring my Batman fetish in there,
game over.
That's me.
We failed to mention it for some reason, but going back to Natalya, you were part of her biography, The Last Heart Beating.
Yes.
Which I think I'm not sure. It's on its way out. It's coming out now, I think, soon, isn't it?
I don't know if this came out for you guys. In America, it's officially out. So
I think for us it's next week.
Okay, so I think it's next week for you guys. So it's officially out here in America, and in North America, Canada. And yes, that was probably like the biggest, kind of like achievements. It was being asked to do that because hearing her story of how she wanted to do it, the story she was going to tell. It's connected to Bret Hart, who's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, and how she showed me like this is his biography. This is his front cover. Maybe we could do something like that. I would like for it to be as powerful. And so I was like, man, dang, I got to live up to Bret Hart now. Like, yeah, and that was a little tough. Like, but I was excited, and that was amazing. Like we worked together with ideas. We went, we did mock-ups. We did the whole thing. We really produced the whole thing. She had like a vision that she wanted, and I was kind of the guy that was going to be had the tools to achieve those things and kind of bring it to life. And not just the front cover, but there was a lot of never before seen photos that were in the book of her family, Bret, her mom, her dad, other wrestlers that were original, like photographs that have kind of like deteriorated over time. They were low resolution. It was someone took them on their cell phone. So I had the job of remastering those and bringing those into, full resolution, high resolution, restored color. There's a lot of photos of like her grandfather. And those are like when they're all little, and Brett was a little baby and Owen was a little baby. And these photos are just kind of like falling apart. So I had the task of restoring all those for the book. And that was very cool for me. The front cover was kind of like when it comes to a professional level, like that's cool. I got the front cover. But to restore those like really personal like photos where I'm seeing, like I have them like in front of me. Like I have these photos being texted me of when she was a baby, when Brett was a baby, like on like their grandfather and the grandmother. And I was like, no, like these are real special photos. And to be the guy who brings them back to life, that was the coolest part for me, as like when it comes to that part of the project.
That's incredible.
What an honor that is as well.
It was. It really was. Like we still talk about it, and it's like that's been one thing that has really kind of like not cemented what I do, but to be able to like do a front cover and restore those photos and kind of help produce it. That's what's really for me, like internally taking me over the top to say I can do these things. I can push this career forward. I can, produce and consult and, do what everybody wants to do when it comes to these projects. And it was an amazing thing across the board on like every kind of level of when it comes to, my work and who I am and where I want to go.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Chuck, I am very conscious of time, but I've just got a couple more questions I want to ask.
No, go ahead. You're good. We're doing good.
Okay. Because I meant to ask this at the start and I completely forgot. Where does the name Chuckacious come from?
I knew this was coming.
I mean, it's the greatest name ever.
And I'm glad you brought it up because I'm glad you got it right, because I have been to some of these wrestling events and people call me Chuckacious.
I'll be honest. When I first read it, I thought that's what it said. I had to double take.
See, I knew it. So, no, I was at a wrestling event and they're like, "Hey, Chuckacious," and I was like, "Oh, that's funny." She's like, "Why is that funny?" And I was like, "It's not Chuck." I was like, "Why'd you call me Chuckacious?" She's like, "That's your username." And I was like, "No, it's not. My name is Chuckacious." She says everybody calls me Chuckacious. And I'm not mad at it. But that's not my name. So Chuckacious came from it's one of those things. It's from the stars, man. It isn't freaking Matrix made it happen, because it was, I don't know, like 10th grade, 9th grade English. We're talking about suffix and prefix, and the word acious came up. And I do not know why I said Chuckacious. And dude, it stuck. And I don't know if I was trying to be like funny, like Tenacious D with Jack Black and his band. They were kind of big at the time. So I was like, that might have been it. Maybe I was like, oh, they're called Tenacious D. I'll be called, Chuckacious. And I never went away from it. It's always been me. It's a little egotistical. It's a little pompous. It's a little whatever, but it kind of plays into the character. And I just stick with it. It's a little Kenny Powers. It's a little Workaholics. It's a little, kind of, like I said, a little of a character that I have, and it just works. I've kept it, and it's never going away.
I love it. I can't help but think though, Chuckacious sounds like a WCW wrestler from the late 90s.
Yeah, just like what's his name? What's it? It was this big buff dude from ECW. He became like that 70s guy, and he had to do disco stuff. Mike Awesome.
Yes.
Mike
Fat
Awesome.
Chick Thriller.
Yeah, Fat Chick Thriller. He got stuck with all those gimmicks. He could have been as big as Brock Lesnar, and they screwed him.
Yeah, they really did.
He was so good, and they gave him the worst gimmicks. But same thing. It like I would probably, if I was older, dude, I was growing up a few hours away from where WCW was based. If I was a little bit older, man, I would have been in there with WCW. I'm still heartbroken it sold to WWE for as little money as it did, because I would have chipped in money to keep WCW alive. I grew up with WCW.
Yeah, WCW is great. My favorite thing in the world is showing people the bit where Sid broke his leg and them going, "Wrestling's fake, is it?" Okay. Yeah, wrestling's
No,
fake.
there's
Right,
a podcast. It's like called Deadlock Wrestling, and they did a little segment where they talked over it. And I guess one of the Road Warriors came out in a mask, and Sid jumps off the rope, breaks his leg. He's like dying in pain, and then everyone's just walking around keeping the promo and wrestling match going, and like no selling him, and he's like has his leg hanging off his legs in half, and no one's even caring about him. Oh man, I felt so bad for Sid then, man. He just at the end of his career, and they're keeping that gimmick going. They're like, everyone keep your spots, taunt him.
Yeah, Road Warrior Animal's more important. Let's look at him.
Keep the story going. We'll figure him out later.
To drag him out of the ring, forget his ear.
They had to. Yeah, it sucked. I feel bad for him. I still think about that to this day. 20-something years ago. Breaks my heart.
So before we start wrapping this up, basically a question that I like to ask, and I know it can be like asking for who your favorite child is, but if someone's listening to this and they're like, I'm going to go check out some of his Chuckacious work, what's like one or two photos or photo shoots that you're like particularly proud of? Like, this is what I do.
We've talked about the Natalya one because that one was a great photo that is being on like a biography for a close friend, but also a icon and a legend. So that one really speaks out to me. Like I would have been happy with that photo even if it wasn't on the book. And I guess I'm glad you guys brought that up. Let me bring it up. Let me see. Let me go to my Instagram. Oh man, there's some of the beach ones where I shot that I'm like, this is $1 million. There was one with her name's Catalina Hager. She was Jake Hager's ex-wife. I'm friends with her. And that was one of those times where I switched that lighting style that kind of became like my new signature. And we shot that. And I got one shot of hers that is like, that was one where I was like, damn, that is, I don't care what magazine in the world it is. It could be a front cover on any of those. It just worked. It was natural lighting, blue sky. Everything was perfect about it. So there's some of the beach ones where those are the ones where beaches are really hard to shoot because the sun can be really harsh. Or you go like the couple photography route where you do it like right at sunset and it's kind of, whatever. But to kind of get like a really bright tropical look is super hard because the sun's harsh, things get blown out, it's windy from the beach. And when I can get one of those done right, like the one I described, that was one where I still look at it, I'm like, that's a great photo. So any of the beach ones that are Mariah May, where she goes Blake Monroe now, she goes in NXT, but one of her, she's laying down on the beach. Another one where that day was 100 degrees, windy, and you see that photo and everything just looks so soft and even and punchy. The sky's blue, her skin tone's great. Those are the photos where when I know how harsh the environment is, but we can still get like a magazine quality image. Those are the ones that I'm really, really, really proud of because you screw up something and it's junk. It just, you get shadows underneath the eyes, the lights too harsh, and it looks terrible. So those, and then the Natalya the front cover, those are the ones where I'm like, if you see those, then it's like, yeah, you get where I'm coming from. You know what I do.
Chuck, have you ever taken a photo that's told a completely different story than what's actually happening?
Oh man. Yeah, in the sense of like, if you knew the conversations that were going on like during and it can go in both ways. It could be someone that is going through like a rough time, and we're just kind of, talking about things, and then it's like boom, it's like this really sexy, classy photo. And then it could be the opposite, where we're having a great time. We're talking about booking, and we're talking about the behind the scenes stuff and how things are going at work. And then we'll do, and it's great, and everything's going great. And then we'll do like something like very, dramatic. But yeah, I guess I know where you're coming from with like, and also when you initially brought that up, I was like, have I like uploaded something with like a certain like art direction, and then people just completely took it like a completely different way? There's a lot of the wrestling fanboys that are really, thirsty for females.
Of course.
Now, that is kind of, if I had to kind of answer that question, where I'm like, this is a really, like how I said, this is a really, really good photo, good lighting, soft and beautiful. I love it. And then I see the comments, and it is just the most vile stuff. And I was like, all right, they took it as a super sexy, thirst trap photo. I thought it was a beautiful, sunset photo. So there's that. Is that like that way where I expected it to go in one direction, and it completely just went another? That's happened. But then there's also, like I said, the behind the scenes things where in the moment it might have been like super dramatic, or someone just got released and we're talking about the next step. But then like the photo is kind of like this bright and fun photo. And there's a lot of that where the behind the scenes doesn't really match up how it actually came out.
When you mentioned then about first comments, I just got this image of it being Matt Cardona on all the Chelsea ones.
Dude, imagine that times like 10, and then it just, because with the collaborations, that's, wrestling fans are the worst. Because I'll see the collaborations and I see the comments, and I do feel bad. Like I don't want to be like those super sensitive, modern day, types, but I'll see the comments on those photos, and it's just like I said, it's the most publicly vibe. These guys don't care if anyone sees it. They're saying the nastiest horned up stuff, and I'm just like, they don't care that it's publicly seen. And a lot of these girls have built very like, tough shells around. They just but as like me not being them and I'm seeing it, I was like, dude, I would hate for my phone to just go off all day and that's all I see.
Yeah,
I would
grim.
hate that. I would hate it.
And you click on their profile, it's a picture of them with their wife and 2 kids. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Trust me. Me. I see it. There's been a couple of times I posted. I was like, I see your guys' comments, and it's not just going to the girls. I see it too, and it's just it's nasty.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the male demographic when it comes to that stuff. Unfortunately, yeah. They're out there. That's the internet for you.
Yeah.
That's the internet for you.
Mr. Stevens, do you have any more questions for our wonderful guest?
I do. How much time have you got, Chuck?
You can go. We can go for another like 10 or so minutes, yeah.
Okay, I was just intrigued on what your thoughts were on, obviously, AI is now making a drastic change to the whole photography and technology world. What your thoughts were on where photography could be going in the future?
Oh, that face says it all.
Yeah. Oh man, you just like that's like the bees, the hornet's nest for me.
Yeah. Sorry.
I just got heated already. When it comes to like my heart and soul, I don't care for like very extensive automated or generated stuff, artificially generated stuff for these people that are creating these like super long artistic things. I think it's just a computer processing stuff and just spitting it out, But then I also am terrified with it's going like it's not a maybe. It's going to destroy the photography, the video, graphic design world. Like it is.
Yep.
There's a good chance I'll be out of a job because, like I said, eventually cell phones are going to be as good as DSLRs. You can take a photo and it completely changes the backdrop. Like we're at a point now where free apps on your phone can make you look like you're in a photo studio.
Yeah.
And and I've seen some recently, and from people I know, and we've talked about it. They don't have to rent a studio anymore. So the studios are going to go out of business because if I want like a nice white backdrop or, a setting, you don't have to go into a studio anymore. So the studios are going to go out of business. Video editors are going to go out of business because eventually AI is going to be able to kind of pick up on, your prompts and say, hey, we're going to chop this up and we're going to create, a reel for you. You don't have to do any editing. Before that was a job. And then I think the last line would be the photographers. The photographers are going to go out where it's going to be so photorealistic where it's just going to have your face already kind of, stockpiled on like a cloud. And you're like, hey, I want to do a photo shoot, on your prompt. Me at the beach on a bench with sunset behind me. That photo of Natalya on the bench is going to be auto-generated by next year. So unless people want to have that like human elements to their work and what they're seeing, AI is going to completely destroy everything. So it's going to go from, I just don't care for AI stuff because it's not true. Eventually it's going to be the standard, and that's what you're going to have to deal with. And I'm really anti. I've been very, very, very. I've been in arguments with. I'll say it. I've had a public argument with the lead singer of Nothing More about it. On he reposted me. He didn't like my comment, and he reposted me, and we went back and forth on it. They did recently. Nothing More did a AI generated music video.
Yes, they did.
And I was not a fan of it. It's like if you're going to do little elements of it, whatever, but I just wasn't a fan of that. And they pushed back hard on it, which made me push back hard on it. So we had this, I think I'm like the number one person on that thing. And he screenshot it, and he's talking about sensitive guys or whatever. But I truly feel like at that point, when you're, that big and you can afford editors, I know they said they found an AI, artist, whatever, that did it, but all you're doing is typing in prompts. But you could have, given that job to somebody, like a real editor, or, shot some stuff and kind of made something with it. So I just see the snowball of where AI is going. And that's what's kind of like upsets me, where if more people become okay with it, it's just going to become the standard. If more and more and more, where, I'm seeing commercials like Coca-Cola just did another completely AI commercial. And if people don't get upset about it, then all their commercials will be AI. Pepsi's will be AI. Apple will be AI. Then it's all these marketing agencies, all these artists, graphic design, 3D renderers, they're all going to be out of business. So that's where, I have major issues with the AI stuff. If you use a little bit of it, like some of the tools that, Photoshop has, where if your model's not really centered, you can kind of extend the background a little bit, and it kind of fills it in. So your model's centered. All right, cool. I have a cleaner shot, but I'm not like putting a whole new body on her, and I'm not doing her face and whatever. You can use as tools. I like Google Gemini. Anytime I have a question, I'll go on there, or ChatGPT, to kind of, analyze some numbers, but I'm using it as, it's kind of like a, like a calculator. All right, cool. Whatever. But when it's, they're creating movies and deep fakes and all that stuff, I do feel a little weird. Some of the AI now has gotten so good that it's starting to fool me, and I have a pretty good eye. And there's gonna be AI podcasters, and it's, I'm not looking forward to the future of that.
No, it's getting
I'm sorry to make this the end, Chuck. Sorry about that. Just
I'm gonna go take a drive after this. I need to kind of. I'm gonna need a little time to myself.
I can't say I blame you. I've got one last question for you before we let go of here, which is, when you first started this photographic journey, obviously with your dad dabbling in it when you were young, did you ever think this is where you'd be today?
I'm not sure if, like, in the sense of, like, I wanted to be here. Like that was the goal. I wanted to be here. I had goals that I was like, I'm going to go to art school. I'm going to get hired by this. I'm going to do this. But it was all kind of just, writing down my goals.
Yeah.
But then it got to some points where, you get a little bit older, the real nature of like the industry and being an adult and growing up, and then you're starting to see people who never made it. I deal with a lot of musicians, and they've had millions of bands, and they never made it. Like they never broke through. So then I was like, man, is that just like on that other side of the matrix wall where it's just like there's normal people and then there's the celebrities, the people that made it. So then it got to a point where I was like, maybe that's it. Like maybe like just kind of doing like gig to gig is kind of that's it. Like maybe I just wasn't one of the lucky ones that were able to be famous or whatever, because I was like, I'm going to do front covers of this. Growing up, I was like, I'm going to have all these sponsorship deals and brands that I work with. And but then it kind of, the older you get, it's just like, okay, the reality's kicking in. So I think so when I kind of something clicked and I was like, I'm going to start, networking with the people around me, and it grew and grew and grew and grew. And I'm working with the people I am now. That's why I'm so grateful. That's why I'm so hungry. I've become even more of like, I've texted it to someone, I texted someone about after SummerSlam, I introduced myself to some higher ups at the WWE. And that was when I met Jelly Roll and this and that. And I texted someone, I was like, I can't let this fail. I can't lose this. I can't lose this momentum. And it's kind of just made me so determined to just kind of push it and push it and push it to where, yeah, like I'm at that point where like those goals are really happening, and those dreams are coming true. So yeah, I'm truly grateful that, I've been able to stick with it and it's turned into something. So yeah, I've always wanted to be here, but there was times where I was like, I might not make it. And to be here, yeah, I'm not gonna lose it, man. I'm not gonna lose it. I'm gonna stick with it. Yeah,
Keep going.
I'm not gonna let it happen. Like now that I kind of broke that code for myself of what you need to do to get to the next level, and it's kind of like, okay, like it is happening. Let's keep it going. Yeah, I'm not gonna lose it.
No, you won't. And it will continue to get stronger. Just keep smashing it.
That's my guy. This is why you guys are my guys.
We got you, man. We got you.
Yeah, you guys are great. I love it. I knew you guys would understand me.
That's why I scheduled this timeout. Still hold all those calls. Still hold all those calls.
yeah, exactly. There's a reason I held off the calls, canceled the meetings. I said, we got something important. We got something good going on right here.
This has been so much fun, Chuck. Thank you so much for taking the time out. I know you're great. This. I really, really appreciate it. Before we let you get out of it, though, plug social medias, websites. Where can people find you out in the world?
The main thing right now, I do have a lot of things in the work, but the main thing is the Instagram, at Chuckacious. That's where to get me. And all the big announcements of, new shows coming out and, collaborations and projects, all that is always going to come through the Instagram. So stay tuned to that, stick with that. And, I appreciate all the follows, comments, feedback. I'm always chatting everyone up. If you have a message or, thoughts, send them my way. I'm always answering. I'm always there. So I appreciate anybody that supports and follows me.
Absolutely, mate. Like you say that you are bloody cool. I think I emailed and then he's like straight away, like, yeah, let's do it. I was like, oh, okay. Less than a week and we're here. It's great.
I learned that from John Cena. John Cena's that way. He could be, doing a movie. If you need to get a hold of him, he will answer you right away. Like no big Hollywood ego, nothing. He gets back to everybody. And I try to be the same way. Like if you email me and you have a question or you want to say something, I make it a point to get back to people because I don't like the celebrities that kind of leave me hanging. So I want to do that way.
I love it. And it's a great mindset to have. This has been incredible, Chuck. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. Really
you guys have been amazing. Thank you so much for having me, man. I had a blast. It was great talking. So hopefully we can do it again sometime.
Absolutely.
Chuck, you're an absolute legend. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat to us. We really appreciate it so much.
You guys are awesome. Anything you need from me, let me know. I'm going to be, reposting it. If you need me or you give me clips or whatever, I'll do whatever.
Have an absolutely wonderful rest of your day, my friend. You take care of yourself, and hopefully we'll speak again soon.
Thank you for everything. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you too, Paul. You take care of yourself. See you soon.
Later, man.
Bye, man. Bye-bye.